Every human being carries within them two fundamental drives, one that moves toward life and one that moves toward death. Erich Fromm, the German psychoanalyst and social philosopher, named these forces biophilia and necrophilia. At first glance, the words seem strange, even unsettling, but they are not meant in the narrow sense of biology or sexuality. They are Fromm's way of describing the deepest orientations of the human soul. Biophilia literally means the love of life. It is the tendency to preserve, nurture, and affirm existence. A biophilic person seeks growth, creation, and renewal. They love the vitality of a flower breaking through the soil, the joy of laughter, the courage it takes to change, and the beauty of a mind that expands. To be biophilic is to choose life in every sense, not merely survival, but life with passion, imagination, and compassion. Necrophilia, by contrast, means the love of death. It is not about physical death alone, but about a deep attraction to what is lifeless, mechanical, and rigid. Necrophilic people are obsessed with control, domination, and destruction. They prefer things that can be owned, counted, and manipulated rather than things that grow unpredictably. They feel uneasy around spontaneity and vitality, for life cannot be fully mastered, and so they prefer what can be killed, broken, or frozen into silence. Fromm believed that these two orientations are not just private quirks, but the very forces shaping civilizations. A society built on biophilia cherishes freedom, creativity, and human dignity. A society driven by necrophilia values power, order, and efficiency, even at the cost of human life. The biophilic spirit gives us art, love, discovery, and compassion. The necrophilic spirit gives us war machines, oppression, and a hunger for destruction disguised as progress. At the personal level, the distinction is just as profound. Think of a child who marvels at insects in the grass, who asks endless questions, who builds castles out of sand and then laughs when the waves destroy them. This child is alive with biophilia, open to wonder, curiosity, and growth. Now contrast this with the adult who scoffs at curiosity, who mocks joy, who seeks to dominate conversations, environments, and even people. This person prefers things to people, possessions to relationships, and control to love. That is the necrophilic spirit at work. Fromm's insight was that necrophilia is not always obvious. It hides in everyday habits, in the love of routine without purpose, in the obsession with things over experiences, in the desire to turn living beings into objects. The corporate executive who values profits over human well-being, the authoritarian who seeks obedience over freedom, the abuser who prefers a partner broken and dependent rather than strong and free. All of them embody necrophilia. Biophilia, on the other hand, is not sentimental optimism. It is not about smiling through life or ignoring suffering. In fact, the biophilic person often feels pain more deeply because they care, but they respond to pain with the desire to heal, not to destroy. They understand that to love life means also to fight for it, to defend it against the forces that would smother or exploit it. The danger, Fromm warned, is that necrophilia often disguises itself as strength. Destruction looks powerful, rigidity looks reliable, domination looks decisive. But this is a deception. True strength is not found in crushing what lives, but in nurturing it. It takes far more courage to love than to hate, far more power to create than to destroy. In our world today, this battle between biophilia and necrophilia plays out every day. It is in the way we treat nature. Do we preserve forests, or do we strip them bare for short-term gain? It is in the way we design technology. Do we create tools that enhance life, or machines that control and surveil it? It is in the way we treat each other. Do we approach people as unique beings with stories and dignity, or as disposable objects to be used and discarded? Fromm insisted that every choice we make leans one way or the other. There is no neutral ground. When we choose curiosity over indifference, compassion over cruelty, creativity over destruction, we choose biophilia. When we choose domination over respect, exploitation over care, or rigidity over growth, we move toward necrophilia. The most haunting part of Fromm's theory is this: necrophilia is not only the love of death, but the fear of life. It is the refusal to embrace change, vulnerability, and uncertainty. And in that refusal, it suffocates everything living. The necrophilic person, Fromm said, feels most comfortable not in the company of the alive, but in the presence of the dead, the motionless, the predictable. By contrast, the biophilic spirit accepts that life is messy, uncertain, and sometimes painful, but it is worth embracing in all its unpredictability. Biophilia is the courage to live, not just exist. And so the question Fromm leaves us with is unsettling but urgent. Which force are we feeding in our own lives, the love of life or the love of death? Erich Fromm did not treat biophilia versus necrophilia as abstract ideas. He saw them as living forces within each human being, clashing every day in subtle ways. To him, this battle was not just about personal preference, but about the very survival of humanity. He believed that unless societies consciously nurtured biophilia, the necrophilic tendencies of violence, domination, and lifeless conformity would inevitably take over. Biophilia, the creative force Fromm described biophilia as more than a love of nature. It is an orientation toward life itself. It means feeling connected to other people, to animals, to the earth, and to the unfolding of one's own potential. A biophilic person is energized by growth and creation. They feel joy when they see a tree flourish, when they help another human being heal, or when they themselves learn and expand. Love, compassion, and creativity are the expressions of this life-oriented energy. Fromm believed biophilia was the foundation of genuine freedom. To live biophilically means to live without masks, to embrace reality rather than fleeing into illusions, and to value being over-having. For Fromm, this orientation was the only path to authentic happiness. Necrophilia, the pull toward the dead. Necrophilia, in contrast, is the love of death, destruction, and lifelessness. It is not limited to extreme cases like violent criminals or tyrants. Rather, Fromm saw necrophilia in many ordinary behaviors that strip life of vitality. A necrophilic person might prefer order and control over spontaneity, possessions over relationships, mechanical repetition over creativity. They cling to what is fixed and unchanging. Instead of nurturing growth, they reduce living things into objects that can be owned, dominated, or consumed. On a social scale, necrophilia becomes chillingly visible in authoritarian regimes, war machines, and economic systems that treat people as numbers instead of human beings. For Fromm, the necrophilic orientation was always tied to dehumanization, the internal struggle. Every individual, Fromm argued, carries both biophilic and necrophilic tendencies. The question is which side becomes dominant. Consider a person at work. When they mentor a colleague, share knowledge, and celebrate someone's growth, they are operating biophilically. But if they secretly wish their co-worker to fail or feel satisfaction when others are humiliated, the necrophilic impulse has crept in. Fromm emphasized that no one is purely biophilic or necrophilic. Instead, life is an ongoing struggle of orientation. The danger lies in ignoring this inner battle, allowing necrophilic habits to grow until they become one's second nature. Society's role. Fromm insisted that personal psychology cannot be separated from cultural systems. A society that values profit over people, conformity over individuality, and destruction over cooperation will cultivate necrophilia in its members. Conversely, societies that encourage creativity, freedom, education, and genuine community strengthen biophilia. He pointed to the dangers of modern industrial societies, the obsession with machines, the reduction of human beings to workers and consumers, and the fascination with weapons of mass destruction. These trends, he argued, nourished necrophilia at a cultural level. But he also saw hope in art, love, and genuine democratic engagement, which nurture the biophilic spirit. The survival of humanity, he warned, depends on which orientation societies choose to cultivate. The empath's perspective. For empaths, the struggle between biophilia and necrophilia feels especially sharp. An empath naturally gravitates toward life, connection, and healing. Yet, when exposed repeatedly to necrophilic systems or individuals, they experience exhaustion, even despair. This is where the concept of the fed-up empath aligns with Fromm's analysis. When empaths recognize necrophilic patterns, whether in toxic relationships, manipulative leaders, or destructive institutions, they reach a breaking point. Their patience is no longer tolerance, it transforms into resistance. For Fromm, such resistance is not merely personal, it is ethical. To side with life is to take a stand against destruction, dehumanization, and all that diminishes human dignity. The empath's exhaustion, then, is not weakness but a signal. The call to stop enabling necrophilic forces and to reclaim the biophilic path, the choice. In the end, Fromm's message is stark but empowering. We must choose. Will we align with the vitality of biophilia, or will we submit to the cold grip of necrophilia? This choice shapes not only our individual destiny, but also the future of humanity itself. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe.